We've all been there. The coach says 8 to 10 reps. You sit down, lie on your back. You do 10 reps for each of the 3 sets. And then you just leave thinking the job's done. Brilliant. You can go home now. You've hit your 3 sets. You've done your 10 reps. You're absolutely jacked. Oh, no, wait. No, hang on a minute. No, that's not how it works. See, the thing is, you didn't really train hard. You just followed instructions. And what does that mean, Miles? Did I say you could speak? I was about to explain now if you just waited. It's not actually about the numbers you hit. It's more so about the journey to get to them numbers. It's about how hard them final few reps are, how close you can get to failure with them. And in this video, I'm going to show you why rep targets are kind of overrated and why they're actually keeping you small. All right, so let's start with this. Any rep range from 4 to 30 reps can build muscle. Granted, you take it somewhere near failure. You want to get somewhere between 1 and 3 RIR. Technically, you can get to about 5 RIR, but only if you want to train like a big old he says, lifting 5s per side. You have to remember that the last 5 reps towards failure is where the magic happens. So that means if 5 reps is your absolute max, all 5 reps are effective. But it also means if 30 reps is your max, only reps 25 to 30 are gonna be the stimulating ones. The first 25 are just there to get you to the last 5. Mechanical tension is the main driver for building muscle. So do rep ranges not actually matter then? I mean, they kind of do. Intensity is what drives muscle growth, but context matters to what rep ranges you use in certain situations. Now, here's the thing. We don't want to go super high with reps sometimes because we get a lot of metabolic fatigue. But I'm not too convinced that metabolic stress or the pump does in fact build muscle. The main reason being, studies show that 5 reps builds just as much muscle as 30, granted they're both taken near failure, and there just is not a whole lot of metabolic stress built up when you do 5 reps. So if it's not needed for growth to happen, then I think we can draw the conclusion that it's not needed for muscle growth. And the second reason is there's just not a lot of jacked medium to long distance runners. Think of how much metabolic stress they put their body through every day. Oh, my titties. The problem though with metabolic stress is it really hurts, which means it might stop you from doing the set before your muscles actually fail. So that means that thing which actually drives muscle growth, mechanical tension, is not the limiting factor. It's your pain tolerance for metabolic stress. Low reps will avoid that burn, so it's easier to push the muscle properly. But we don't want to go too low with reps either on certain exercises because it's too hard to keep form. I mean, have you ever tried to do heavy sets of 5 on lateral raises? You look like a geriatric pterodactyl auditioning for his nursing home talent show. Here's the problem, right? Someone gets under the bar, they see 3 sets of 6 to 8, they lay back, they do their 8 reps, then they rest, and then they repeat that cycle 2 more times. Now you mightn't see an issue with that. They've hit their reps, but that's not really the issue. My problem is before the sets even started, they decided how many reps they were going to get on all 3 sets, which means it's highly possible they're completely undershooting the intensity needed for growth. Remember, the last 5 are where the magic happens. So if you don't even get to the last 5 worth of intensity, you're not gonna grow. And remember, if you're leaving energy in the tank for later sets, you're just gonna leave progress on the table. Every set has to count. And that's why I say rep ranges are goalposts and not targets. You see, you have to select a load which is gonna appropriately get you between them rep targets. You don't select how many reps you're gonna get before you even start the set. So that means if your rep scheme is 4 to 8, oh my God, this fucking moves. Oh my God, I actually am like a fucking pterodactyl now. So that means if you have a rep scheme of 4 to 8, 8 is the absolute maximum you should be able to get with that weight, but it also means you choose a load where you're not going way below 4. And that's what I mean by goalposts. You get between the rep numbers with an appropriate load. Your effort decides when the set stops, not the number you hit. It's like saying all you have to do to open a fridge door is to pull. You need a certain intensity to make it effective. Another key point is that your rep number should drop between sets. So if you choose 3 sets of 4 to 8, the first set should be something like 7, the second set should be something like 6, and the last set should be something like 4. And that's what we want, because if we are truly pushing performance, we should see a dip off from set to set. It would be like if I told you to run 1 kilometer as fast as you can, and then 2 minutes later, I told you to run 1 kilometer as fast as you can again. If you were able to match the speed that you just did with the first 1 kilometer, I would say you didn't go as fast as you could have on the first. And that's not to say you have to take every set towards failure and go as hard as you can. But there should definitely be a correlation between performance and the amount of sets you do. It should steadily decline as you go through your workout. If you are always able to equal performance for every set and every exercise, well then you're just not pushing it hard enough. And that's just a fact because energy is finite. we do not have an unlimited amount of it. It's going to have to decline as time passes. So if you are not putting the intensity required for actual growth, what's going to happen is you're just going to undershoot all your sets and you're never going to grow. Training isn't something you want to pace yourself for. It's something you attack. Whoa, this thing is smooth. Your energy should drop each set. You shouldn't be able to match performance, and that's how you know you're training properly. Not all rep ranges are created equal in practice. Anything above 15 reps will just make your workouts feel really drawn out. And also, I do think you'll be limited more by lactic acid than you will by your muscle actually reaching its capacity. And anything below 4 reps just isn't really enough exposure to the tension to stimulate as much growth as you want. You'll still build muscle though. So what works best? For me, I like to start my workout with compound movements, your bench, your pull-ups, your squats, your deadlifts, stuff like that. You usually do them at the start because they require the most amount of coordination and the most amount of energy. And this is why I think the 4 to 8 rep range works really well, because you can really load it up, and because you're coordinated and fresh, you're going to be able to push your sets really hard and get a lot from them effectively. You can use heavy loads, drive a lot of tension, and just get a lot from the exercise. 2 to 3 hard sets, leaving about 1 to 3 in the tank, and rep numbers should decline as you go if you are truly training hard. Now, in the middle of the workout, you're a little bit more fatigued, coordination gets a little bit worse. So this is where I push to 6 to 10 and start to really focus on form. I would start using machines as well, because usually they're on fixed paths, so it doesn't require as much coordination. And because you're a little bit more tired, these can be a better option. Really focus on excellent form during this phase, as you should at all the phases, and make sure you're pushing it within 1 or 2 of failure. And then at the end of the workout, we usually try and hit the smaller muscle groups. They don't require as much coordination, and there's just not as much of a downside to pushing them to failure. So use higher reps if you like, use lower reps if you like, and there's not much consequences to your actions here. So if you want to go to failure, then fire away. So here's another little bit of extra advice. For beginners, usually what I program is 8 to 12 for all exercises on all sets. The reason being is the more reps they do of an exercise, the better they're going to get at the exercise. So it's more of a skill recruitment kind of thing as opposed to a muscle building kind of thing. Now they will build muscle, granted they do push their sets, but I find this is the best way to help people learn at the start. And then periodically every 4 weeks, I will decrease the number of reps they get. So they'll slowly start to increase their load as they get more skilled at the movement. And then we try to drive home intensity by the end of that phase to make sure they're building as much muscle as possible. So we usually will end somewhere between 4 to 8 reps. And then just another advanced method I use is called a top set drop set, which is essentially where you do 2 sets on an exercise. The first one you're aiming for 4 to 8, the second one you're aiming for 8 to 12. And what I love about this is it treats them as 2 separate loadable exercises, meaning that once you get 8 on this exercise, you increase the load, and once you get 12 on this exercise, you increase the load. The reason I like it is because you load them independently of each other, and you're following some sort of a rule set to make sure you're progressively overloading with a system in place. It will create a structure and it will gamify your sessions, and it will give you a good reason to keep showing up. So the rep ranges you use and your approach to the rep ranges might be holding you back, but that's only because you treat them like targets and not like goalposts. And you're just going through the motions to try and hit them, and you decide how many reps you're going to get before the set even starts. All rep ranges work as long as you do. Don't decide how many reps you're going to get. Make sure you actually approach it with a proper intensity where you see the bar speed slowing down at the end, and then just apply progressive overload over time, and all rep ranges will work as long as you do. And speaking of work, I hope your thumbs work, because I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. And make sure you do that because I upload weekly educational videos and I cannot wait to make some more.